Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Salih. Welcome to another video. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the most known but also unknown feature. What do I mean by that? I mean it is always there. But this video is going to help you see how it works, not how it works actually, what is behind the scene when we use indexes and range. So I will be showing you a couple of examples over here. You will learn something new from this video today. I'm going to be talking about indexes, one of the most commonly used features of C Sharp. But also I will show how index works, or do we have any alternative to that one, which is called index or any range. I'll be showing you a couple of structs that you can use, or you can create a diversity in your code. You don't have to use the index, but if you know how it works behind the scene, how things works behind the scene in C Sharp, that will help you a lot. Before we start the video, I'm going to ask you to subscribe the channel. It's going to help the videos to reach more people like you. And if you like that video, please hit the like button as well. If you have any questions or any ideas that I should be making videos about, please let me know in the comment section below. Now let's get into what we can do with index and range. Okay, let's talk about index. But let me start from scratch. So index, mostly we mostly use it. One of the most basic data type, data structure, which is array. I'm going to show you indexes, how it works with arrays. But it is the same way. So most of the other data structures like list, which is, by the way, backed by array, it is the same scenario for the other data types, but we can use it with wherever we have indexes. So let me show you something. If I need to have the first item from that integer array, I would say, I could get that square bracket and say the item that I want to achieve, I want to access, right? So I said the first item, the very first item. In C Sharp and in most other languages as well, the starting index for any array, for starting index, is 0. It is not 1. So you need to, I'll just come into that one later, but you need to remember it is 0, not 1. So this is going to return me the first item. So how do I know that this is index? So if you see the curly brackets, it is mostly index, but imagine you have a custom class, and you can add your own indexer, right? So that, let's say it's maybe it has a private string name property in that, and it is going to be my name, for example. And this class, for example, can have a public string, not string, maybe char indexer by saying index. Okay, now this can, for example, return name index. So you can achieve that one. So if you create a variable of that one, var cc new custom class, now I'm able to use the index. If you see over here with the curly brackets, I'm able to use as index. So if I give it a 0, it's going to return me a char, right? So first letter of that name. It doesn't have to be get only. It can also be set. So you can basically set its value as like I would do it over here. So this is the basic of the arrays, and the basic of the indexes, right? So you can use that curly bracket, the square brackets, to be able to use that indexing. So let me get rid of this. Now what I'm going to talk about is, this is not the only way. I mean, the square brackets is for indexes, so we can use that index. But when things get complicated, for example, I don't need the first one. Maybe I don't need the second one as well, but what I need is the last one. So this number has 10 items in it, and I want to get the last one. Okay, you may say it is easy. We know this has 10 items, so it is the length property of that array is going to give me the last one. And this index, as we start from 0, this index will be the 9, as although we have 10 items here. It's easy, right? So I will say length minus 1. Now this is going to return me the last item of that. It is easy. But you may have a structural data for this one. For example, there's an index struct in system library. If we get into that one, we can see it is a read-only struct, and it is equitable interface, so we can compare it with the other ones. It's got start, it's got index properties, it's got a from start and from end, and a value as integer, as it is integer, and is from end, is from start, blah 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 blah, and also it's got implicit operator over here which can be converted, which says that can be converted from integer. I'll be showing you. But let's say I have an index class, index struct, index type right now. So I say idx. Now I need to define an index. What I can do is, okay, give me an index. In that constructor, I can pass the value 1, for example. And the second one is from end, which means if I say 0, for example. So I said, okay, the index would be the first, but not from end. So let me, was the from end, right? So this is the value, this is the from end. So so as this is index, still index, I don't have the value. So I just define that index. So to be able to get the item, let's say item, and from numbers, now I don't have to pass an integer data, but what I can do is I can pass the index into it. So this index is going to return something, right? So this array just accepts, for example, this array accepts integer, but also index, but we will get to that. So now I'm going to print maybe the item. So what do you think we are gonna see? So let me run that application. So it is 1. Why it is 1? It is again the same scenario. If it is from start, the initial index, the first index will be 0, right? So it's gonna start from 0. So by just changing that one, so I'm now able to get the first item, so 0 will be printed out as you see. But this index, the second parameter says from end. So if I set this to true, without changing anything, how do I access to item? Without changing it to anything, I mean, I just changed this one, but didn't change anything from here. So I'm basically resetting the index, but this time it is from end. So now we are expecting something differently. So what is it supposed to be? Normally, it would be 9, right? So let me see. When we run the application, it's going to throw an exception, index out of range exception. That's why I was saying it is the first. So the first element of any array, the index of it is 0 always. If it is from beginning, from start. If it is from end, the very first element will be 1. It is always like that. It really doesn't matter over here. That's why basically, normally once we use numbers dot length -1, we are telling it from beginning, from the start. You could just go to 9th element. So if we use from end, now we have to be careful about this one. So the first indexer, the indexer is 1 if you are going to search through or access the element from end. So this is something that you need to keep it, in your mind. Okay, I use the index right now. So let's print that one. Now we are gonna see 9. Okay, this is the index. So this is basically an index. So creating a new constructor, creating a new index is one of those ways. The other one, we can say idx equal index from start or from end. So now this time, basically, I'm not gonna have to send this parameter, but just sending the value. If this from start, this will be again returning that one. If it is from end, for example, now it is going to return me this one. So this is not the 0. So it cannot be 0, right? If we get into that index over here, we can see that one. Not this one, but this will be returning you something. So let me run that from end first. If we pass that parameter from end, it is again index out of range exception. It is because it's not going to be able to access the 0th the element from end. But if it was from start, we wouldn't have any problem with that. So we would be able to print out that 0, right? Okay, this is index. If I need something, but not at the exact position, so I should be able to say, okay, I want to get some data from that numbers, but it has to be between 2 and 5 maybe. So I'm now talking about the ranges. So I am locating to an index, but also I'm giving it to another index, and I want to get the between of those two indexes. This is how range works actually. It is the same scenario, not for integer array, but if you would have an integer, so number list, for example, that would be the same actually. So I should still be able to use the indexes wherever I'm able to use the index actually. As I just said, list is basically backed by an integer. So whenever you hit that one, it gets into the backfield of array and does the same thing. So as the array supports index, numbers are allowing us to use the same index again. So I should be able to use that one for the same thing, for the different things. Okay, now let's talk about some ranges. So this is the item. Let's say we also have range, again, under the same interface, same namespace, system.range. If we get into that one, it is again a read-only struct, equatable range. So now it says, okay, start an index. So as you see, those are indexes. Those are not an integer value. So it accepts start an integer and indexes from us. And it says, okay, range start at, so we can start getting the range from at the specific point. And it also has end at, so we will be I'll be showing you those, and also the all. So let's define a range by creating a new range. So the constructor says index start, index end. So I can say, okay, my index is from start, it will be 1, but also let me get here index from end, maybe 1. So what do you think we are going to have over here? So let's say new array or ranged array, I would say. Now I'm going to say I want to get that range. So as you can see, I'm now able to pass the range instead of an index, instead of doing the same thing with the different things. I'm just going to show you an example of that. But now I'm passing a range instead of defining two different indexes and somehow be able to get the range of it. So now let me create a print function over here that prints the integer array we pass to it. So let's say array console write line. So I can say string join them by using comma array. That should do it. Actually, let me add double new line over here so we can see it beautiful and print. Okay, now I'm gonna print that range array. So from start, from end. So I'm telling it I have a range, I have an index actually, I have an array, and I want to access some data. The starting point will be from start and 1. So the from start and 1. And also from end 1. So it is going to be 9. So what do I expect to see, as this is exclusive? So it is not going to include that one. What I'm going to see is that one included. So the first one is included. So between 1 and 8, this is what I'm seeing, what I'm expecting, right? So let me run that application and see. Oh, this is the second one. And see from 1 to 8. Don't forget, this is the second one is always the exclusive when you're using the range. The second one, so the last parameter, is always the exclusive. I'm gonna get rid of that. Maybe that one as well. Okay, now I define a range. So what else I can do with that range? So range has start. As you can see, it is get only, so read only, and end properties. Also, it returns you an index. Get offset and length does the same thing. So it returns you the offset between those and the total length. So let's say range. I can now range and at. So it's got a static function. So without creating any instance of that, I can access the other properties, other functions like that start at. So now I'm creating an index, but I'm saying start at. So what does this mean? So it asks me to pass an index, right? So if I say from start 5, so as it is still asking me index, and I say this is the index, right? So this is the index, the fifth item from start. So it will be this one. So first, so 0, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be the fifth element from start. And I say my range starts at that one. So what do you think now we are going to see? So now what I see is from start, my first initial index starts from fifth element, and I didn't say where it's gonna end. So I passed one index only to range, but I didn't pass the second one. So if I don't pass the second one, which means it is till the end. So that's why it starts from here and goes till the end. That's why I see even 9 over here. Now I can also say, okay, this is the index. I can access to that one as well, and that one as well, and the other properties actually. But I can also say not start, but end at. So if I say end at my range, it is going to end wherever I pass this one. So now I'm passing an index which points that one. So this is ends, but I didn't say where it's going to start from. So that's why it is going to start from the 0, and it is going to go wherever I put in here. So let me save this one and run this again. Now I'm expecting to see from 1 to 4. Again, do not forget, this is the exclusive if it is end. So I'm basically able to create my range by passing indexes. But what I also need to mention is that, as I said earlier in this video, index, if we go to source code as well, system index has an implicit operator which has an integer conversion. But if you implicitly use that conversion, it is going to be starting from, start. It is going to be setting this index from start. So what do I mean by that? So I said start from here, but I'm now able to set integer to it. So implicitly, it is implicitly converting it. If you don't know how implicit and explicit operators work, I have a video in that channel, so you can watch it and come back later. So I'm now saying, okay, my index is the fifth, but as you may see, it is from start. So if I'm saying I'm setting an integer, it is always going to be starting from start. So if I set it to 2, what will I get over here is the second one. It's because it is from beginning, from start, not from end. Okay, so we have index, we have range. Okay, so if I'm able to use integer instead of index, can I use the same stuff over here? Yes. So it says from start, first I would pass 1. It's because I know I can use integer for any indexes. So, and also I know it is going to be from start. So the second one from end will still be over here like that. Or I can say 9, right? The total length of it is 9. So if I get that range, let me get this rid of one. So now I'm saying from start and from, again, start but 9. So now what I'm going to see is from 1 to 8. Don't forget, 9 is exclusive. So if I make it 10 this time, now I will be able to see the last one, so which is 9. Okay. Range and index. So, but C# is very rich language. So C# also allows us to use some sort of operators for those ones. So for example, as I just said, index basically an integer, or integer is index when you are using the square brackets with that one. From start, so if I pass here by saying 0, I know this item is always from start, right? So it is not going to be returning if it is 1. If it is not going to be returning this one. So the default behavior is from start. But C# has an unary operator. I don't know if you remember this guy over here. If I use that one by passing any integer data, that would return things to reverse actually. So now instead of the default behavior is from start, now this is going to tell it that, okay, do not start from start, but go to end. So this means it is again end. So I'm basically pointing out this one now this time. It is the same scenario if it was from end and I would pass it to 1. If I'm going from end, the other scenario, the other rule is still over here. I can't say 0th element. It's because if it is from end, it cannot be 0. It always has to start with 1. So the initial index from end is 1. So this means I'm now passing it the same scenario. Instead of index, let me get rid of that one. Instead of that index, I can pass that one as well. So both are basically converted. Let me get that one here and get rid of you. Actually, I can just get rid of you. And let's run the application. Yeah, need to pass something. Let me get rid of that as well. Okay, rerun the application. As you can see, that one does the same thing with that one. So if I'm able to use any unary operator for starting from end, am I able to use any unary operator for range? Yes. If instead of using that range, so from 1 till end, to 10, I now can say, okay, I start from 1 and I want to go to till 10. So it is the second unary operator, I'll call it, for range. So if you want to define a range, so you can use double period over here. This is again exclusive. Do not forget, if now we print this one, let me get rid of this. If we print this one now, we will see is the whole array. It's because I started from this one. So it is the same thing if I had this one. So the range over here and the range over here is the same. Okay, another question. Implicit operators. So if, let's check if I'm able to do that within that way. So yes, so that unary operators can also be set to range. So if I'm able to use that one against the range, I should be able to use index, for example, that one for index. So yes, I'm still able to use that unary operator to be able to set the index. But if you know how index from start from end or range from start and from end works, you can basically see how these unary operators or these sort of operators work. You can see the behind the scene. But also, I just need to mention you something. It's because when we use range operator, either that way or either that way, it really doesn't matter. When we use range operator, what it does, it is not a problem for integer array over here. I mean, for index, I mean. But if we use range, please remember, it creates a new array. So the array, for example, from 1 to 5, or the first to 5, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So these numbers are going to be copied over to new index. So it is the same thing actually. Array copy function. Array copy function says, give me a source array, give me a destination array, give me a length. So if I say from this array to this array, 4 character is going to start from start, and it's going to copy that 4 element over there. But it's got an overwritten functions. Yeah, that one. It says, give me a source array and source index. Where do I start from? And also destination array and destination index and length also. So basically with that function, I can do the same thing. I can say, okay, this is my range. Copy that range from one array to the other one. This line does the same thing actually. Do not forget about that. If you use a range operator or any range for any array, it creates a new array. So to prove that, I'll just clear that array, right? And if ranged array is different array than that one, so if I clear numbers, that shouldn't be still not null, right? It should still have its own value stored. So let me run that application and see what happens. When we run the application, as I just mentioned, this is what I see. It's because regardless numbers are cleared or no, not, that line, the second that line is executed, I created a new copy, a new array. So if you're going to use the range operators or range over here, over an array, or it does the same thing for a list as well. Remember this one, it is going to be a new allocation. If so, it is not like span, but you can also do that. Maybe this is for another video. If you like that video, please hit the like button. And if you have any question regarding that video or any other video topics, please let me know in the comment section below. Until the next video, happy coding.